What's the CIA's most disturbing experiment?
They had a experiment that they did in Canada, and I am never so many times people are like, "Oh, well, you must know all about this MK Ultra project and names and dates and locations." I'm not a historian. I don't give a shit about 99% of MK Ultra. I care about the techniques and the methods and the protocols and stuff that were a result of MK Ultra. I'm not like, let me go fact check and get everybody's name right and dates. I don't have any of that because it was never important to me. But they did this thing in Canada, and I can't remember the guy's name, but they took people coming in for just normal appointments, like I have postpartum depression or I have anxiety, and they would against their will do this thing called psychic driving. Had nothing to do with being psychic. It just meant psychic of the mind. And they would give them massive, prolonged doses of LSD. And in some cases, tape their eyes open like Clockwork Orange and play these videos in front of their face all the time. They thought it was going to like reprogram their brain somehow. But what happened was a lot of the people had to learn how to walk again. They couldn't control their bladder. They had to learn how to control their urine and stuff like that again. Some of them lost 30, 40 years of memories from their life. And these were people who checked into a clinic for like anxiety. And this was funded by MK Ultra, and it was in Canada. And it's so well known and it's so open that even the Canadian government paid the people's families who just got wrecked because of this thing. And the other thing they did, and there's so much mind warfare stuff that we could go into, but they did this thing called Project Midnight Climax in a brothel. And these Johns would come in they're like, well, I want to spend the night with this hooker. They take them up, the hookers take them up to a hotel room. They drug these dudes with high doses of LSD. And there are mirrors in these hotel rooms with dudes watching. Like behind a mirror in the hotel room, there's scientists watching this stuff and watching what takes place. That is the most bizarre and weird thing I've ever even heard of. They could experiment with LSD on a lot of people. Then they did it with soldiers, and the British Royal Air Force did this with, or British Army did this with LSD. And LSD was just like the rave of the time because the CIA thought it might be this miracle mind control drug because these videos were coming back from the Korean War of these Americans getting brainwashed and stuff. So they're like, there is something happening to these Americans that we don't have the technology to do. So it was a psychological arms race, or so we thought it was. It was just basic stuff. It was like very basic brainwashing stuff.
What were the results of that midnight?
Nobody knows.
No?
Nobody knows. Yeah, I think it was just studying the effects of LSD and the effects of what they call interrogative suggestibility. So can I make you confess to stuff? Can I get intelligence out of you if you're a captured asset of some kind? And I don't think they published anything afterwards, like some after action report or anything.
In the following video, two friends are goofing off inside an indoor playground at a time when no one else is around.
Shot me 3 times. You're good. Where'd you go?
It's late at night, and the restaurant where the kids' play area is located isn't being occupied by children. So, with not much else to do, both friends rush over to the restaurant's playground to have some fun. However, it would be during this playful moment that something pretty creepy is caught on camera. The following is what they caught. Take a look.
Jesus. Okay, this is my POV. Enjoy. This is where I have to get up to. This is really hard. I feel too big to do this. Do you go out around his body? Yeah. Wait, where'd you go, left or right? Probably left. Which way do I go? I feel like I'm in Alice in Wonderland. Okay, she went that way. Freaky. Yours is brighter, mine's all dark. Okay. You guys, I can't do this. feel like I keep bumping my head too. That's crazy. There's like actually cat here. This is literally for human hamsters. Oh my god, someone bashed in this window. I feel like this is...
Neither friend had realized what was caught until much later, and the one recording this didn't hear anything while taking the video. The only voice heard was her friend's, who was somewhere far off in the jungle gym. The other voice was completely missed, but not by the camera's mic, as apparently a child's voice is captured.
Freaky. Yours is brighter, mine's all dark.
It isn't clear as to what's being said or whispered, but it sounds like the babbling noise you'd hear from a young child. For this reason, viewers think that this might have been the ghost of a child who hasn't left the playground. If that's the case, then who knows what else happens at night when no one else is around. While it isn't exactly certain what was caught, both friends were creeped out by this clip. But unfortunately, like most videos, this one remains a mystery.
I don't know. I've been face down in a ditch for 2 hours. I was trying to save your buddy, okay? I don't think there's much left I have to prove. Okay, well, if you could come back, that'd be nice. Okay, I don't know where this thing is or when it's gonna... Oh, shit.
This orangutan was forced to wear makeup and do intimate acts with men. This is the horrific story about Pony, so get ready to be disturbed. This took place in Indonesia, and it said that Pony was captured and stolen away from her parents when she was just a baby. She was adopted by this lady. However, this lady claimed that Pony was her baby, but why would you do such a thing to your baby? Pony was shaved every 2 days and was forced to wear makeup, and people, villagers from around that area would pay about $2.50 to do things with her. She also had to wear perfume to smell pleasant for her clients. Organizations would try to rescue her. They've been trying for a year, but the villagers got super aggressive because she was bringing them money. They were scared that the economy was gonna fail because of the amount of money they wouldn't be receiving if they took Pony away. Luckily, after trying for a year, an organization was able to rescue Pony. For a couple of months, only female workers had to take care of her because she would get super aggressive and super afraid of male workers. But a little over a year, Pony was safe and was able to be taken care of by both male and females, and she was luckily safe. What do you guys think about this disturbing case? And I can't believe people would do this to an innocent animal.
Dude, I don't know if I'm gonna put this in, but this damn near made me not want to continue this video. I'm a strong believer that humans are amongst some of the wildest animals.
When I was 15 years old, Joe Gatto from the Impractical Jokers groomed me.
Impractical Jokers star Joe Gatto has been accused by another girl of misconduct. But this time the accuser is accusing Joe of grooming her when she was 15 years old. So this girl shared her story here on TikTok, and basically she states that she was a huge Impractical Jokers fan, and in 2015, when she was 14 years old, about to turn 15, she went through the Impractical Jokers cast Twitter accounts, found their Snapchats, and just decided to message them. She didn't expect anything back, but shockingly, according to her, who responded but Joe Gatto, saying at first, "Happy birthday." She then claims that they began to Snapchat almost every single day back and forth casually, until one day when she came home from school and he asked her to video chat. According to the girl, he asked her how tall she was, how much she weighed and her bra size, and then said, "You're a fucking bombshell." That's a quote from her. She then states that he allegedly tried to get her to send him some more risque photos of her butt and chest. Keep in mind this was all going on over Snapchat where messages disappear. She felt uncomfortable though, and she wouldn't send him anything nude. Keep in mind she was a young teenager at the time, so this would have been very illegal. According to her, Joe then allegedly blocked her. Now she says that she knows she doesn't have evidence, and she realized back then if she talked about this, she could have gotten the show canceled. It would have been a huge thing. But she didn't want to face fans that would have been angry about the show getting canceled, people telling her she's a liar, and the hate that would have come from it. So she decided to hold that story close to her chest until now, when obviously lots of other women and girls have come forward saying that some inappropriate things happened between them and Joe. And with the new allegations against Merv from the same show coming out recently, that leaves only 2 of the 4 Impractical Jokers without any serious allegations having been levied against them. But as you know, I will definitely keep y'all updated when it comes to this unfolding, very disturbing story.
I don't know, man. This seems like something that needs to be taken care of in a courtroom and not on TikTok, if it's true.
Fan theory iceberg. First up, we got Barbie is a prequel to Suicide Squad. So this is the theory that Barbie ends up being Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. So at the end of the Barbie movie, we see the main character, Barbie, experiencing existential dread, and she's feeling that she's unprepared to live in the real world. Because of this, there's a theory that goes that because she didn't fit in with the real world, she went to go work with other people that didn't fit in with the real world, and so she becomes a doctor and goes to Arkham. This is where she meets the Joker and, becomes Harley Quinn. And both movies are played by the same actress, Margot Robbie. Interstellar and Arrival take place in the same universe. This is the idea that the heptapod aliens from the movie Arrival are the same ones that messed with the time in Interstellar. So this one's pretty hard to explain, but I'll do my best. So in Interstellar, there's these highly evolved 5D beings that messed with time and created, the big time cube thing that allowed Cooper to go back in time and send data to his daughter, influencing the past to save humanity. And then in the movie Arrival, there were these aliens that visited Earth. In Arrival, they gave Luis this gift of being able to perceive time and see the future, or predict the future. Those aliens in Arrival did this in exchange for a favor in 3,000 years. This theory is that that favor they asked for was actually to open up a wormhole 3,000 years later once humanity got the technology to do that. And so the heptapods actually are humans from the past that evolved to become that, and basically these 5D beings are doing this time loop thing to save themselves, which is humanity. Lilo's parents were in the CIA. This is the idea that Lilo and Nani's parents, or at least one of their parents, was in the CIA. In the movie, we see Cobra Bubbles, who is a social worker that we can maybe assume is a close friend or colleague of Lilo's parents. And maybe Lilo's parents died during some sort of mission with the CIA, and that co-worker promised to look after them. Because why would a CIA agent that was at Roswell end up being a social worker? It makes more sense that their parents were in the CIA. Ratatouille, Ego's mother. So in Ratatouille, there's this old woman at the beginning who tried to kill Remy, and this theory is that that old woman is actually the food critic Ego's mother, and that at the end of the movie, Remy makes Ratatouille, and the reason why Remy knew to make that dish is because he lived there in Ego's house, and maybe he saw her cook that dish for him, or maybe he even helped her cook that dish in the past. And yeah, that's why the food critic liked the dish so much, is because Remy knew. The Frozen Tarzan connection. So Anna and Elsa's parents in Frozen were believed to have died in a shipwreck. However, there's this theory that they actually survived and washed ashore on an island in Africa where they at some point gave birth to a son and built a treehouse and named their child Tarzan. However, early in Tarzan's life, they died and got eaten by a leopard or something, where gorillas then found Tarzan as a little baby and raised him up to be their own. But people also point to a time discrepancy in the movies where Frozen was supposed to be around the 1840s and Tarzan takes place in the 1900s, but I really like the idea. So MCU humanoids are all abducted humans from Earth. This is the theory that all the humans we see out in space in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, the green people, the purple people, aren't alien species, but rather just humans that were abducted by other aliens since ancient times. And why are they so colorful or green or pink or whatever? It's because they had to adapt to different radiation on different planets, and so it made their skin color change. The Iron Giant's true purpose on Earth. So in the movie, we never know who the specific creator of the Iron Giant was, but what we do know is that in the opening sequence, the giant comes from beyond Earth's moon. And based on the design and all the weapons he has, we can assume that maybe extraterrestrial beings created him for non-peaceful purposes. There's even this deleted scene from the movie that I just watched that shows the Iron Giant asleep, and he has this vision where he sees a group of 20 other Iron Giants on another planet burning down cities to the ground, and then the planet explodes, and it kind of suggests that the original objective was to destroy the planet or a planet, and maybe he arrived on Earth on accident, considering, you know, there's no other Iron Giants there on Earth. The Mort theory. So this is a really deranged theory that the really cute little lemur thing in the movie Madagascar is actually a powerful, ancient, evil entity with supernatural abilities. This theory was created by a YouTuber called The Theorizer, who spent an ungodly amount of time creating and solving this theory. And basically, the theory goes that Mort is an interdimensional godlike being that has been around since the beginning of time, and that in the original movie, he's pretty unsuspecting and normal, you know, but then in the spin-offs in the show, he's extremely complicated and has a lot of strange backstories. And to summarize and not go into it too much, the show kind of displays that Mort is an interdimensional godlike being that's been around since the beginning of time itself, and that there are these sky gods in the show that were represented as fruit for some reason, and that these fruit sky gods saw that Mort was a threat to reality, so they splintered his being and scattered him across the multiverse. And so in the show, we see his fragmented personalities slowly finding each other again and reabsorbing into the Mort in the show. Also, the Mort that we know in Madagascar is actually just a version of Powerful Mort, who, when Powerful Mort lost a battle with one of the fruit deities, he wiped his own memory and hid himself amongst a group of regular dumb Mort clones. And so he's living out his life as a little mouse lemur thing that's normal. Overarching, the idea is that Mort is an evil deity who created the universe, and essentially he lives as a dumb regular lemur. I also find it interesting that his name is Mort, which is death in French, and this guy theorizes that Mort is the god of death, basically, or death himself. Anyways, thank you guys for watching another video about really intelligent topics, but I appreciate you watching all my videos. I'm going to be doing more on YouTube, so follow me on there if you want to see more of that, but I'll still be doing videos on here, so follow if you want to see that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Shout out to Psycho Polly, man. He literally does some of the best icebergs that I've seen.
Are these just glitches from the camera or reptilians revealing themselves? Check this out, y'all.
I want to ask you 5 questions. Here we go. We ask every
Liquid crystal.
And guess what? You're in the running game. Organization that works in over 150
Watch how she
countries.
slowly
My
morphs.
job was to meet with teenagers who were living in exclusion, who were living in extreme poverty or living with HIV, and write their stories.
It's a very
Listen to their
gradual
stories and
process,
write
the
them.
shape-shifting.
And so, I mean, I obviously learned so much from these kids. I learned from Anna.
See, the old cameras used to
who
catch
lived
their
an extremely
skin.
difficult life. I learned to live each day to its fullest.
Called liquid
Doing any kind of
crystal.
missionary work.
One morning, I'm done for the weekend, and so I'm just gonna get away and spend time with family and friends and just enjoy it, relax for once. Kind of a fat chance on.
Watch how it morphs, y'all. What do y'all think? Are reptilians among us, or are these just glitches in the camera? As always, thank you for watching. Stay weird.
It's like he felt his face morphing, so that's like why he touched it.
There's no pizza we didn't love.
They'll name 3 names for your lady parts.
Mini Moo, for JJ, and a pizza.
And a pizza.
What?
And a pizza. Mini Moo is when you're describing it to a child.
What?
For JJ is like, hey. And a pizza is when someone's nasty.
When someone's nasty.
What?
Honey, pizza's here.
Pizza? I told a story about going and having pizza at the Clooney's in Lake Como.
Yeah, that's all in Aniston. It's like, George and I would love you to come over for pizza, but...
How was the pizza? Was it good?
Oh,
what? Did he make it
Amal's
himself?
pizza was better than Clooney's. They both made, everybody made a certain kind of pizza.
There's no pizza we didn't love.
Something that he doesn't
5
do
different
better
kinds.
than
5
everybody
different
else.
kinds or 6 different kinds of pizza that night.
Let's be
Clooney's was
quiet.
excellent.
Shut your
Amal's was the winner.
Best pizza I've ever had in my life. Best fucking pizza I've ever had. Had some type of lettuce on it. I've never tasted this shit. Some white babies got some white babies.
Damn!
All I can take from this is pizza doesn't actually mean pizza.
Look at this. Wrinkled peach. Oh, she's so pretty. Oh my god. This is such a fey trap, but I'm gonna fall for it. Hello.
I know it's an obvious fey trap right there. And I'm wondering if we should go underneath this or around it. I'm thinking of opting around. What do you think, babe?
Let's go through it.
Oh my god, you want to see yourself? What you look like? I'll show you in a second. You're smiling. That's so cool.
The most obvious fey trap I have ever seen.
I'm gonna go touch it.
No, Maria, you're gonna get kidnapped. You ain't gonna get me this time, you very obvious fey trap doorway to nothing. I don't know, let's go.
This the spot. This the spot. Nah, come back out. Look, why you be peeking like that? Peeking. Alright, so look, let me know.
Well, fairies live there. Definitely.
In this old Russian mine, an artifact was discovered that turned our history 360 degrees. This miner was doing his routine work, unaware of the ancient artifacts he would soon find. But what did he find? Well, he found this ordinary rock with a chip inside, 150 meters deep. The problem is, at this depth, the rock is 2,500,000 years old. At that time, the first humans looked something like this. If we believe official science, such microchips they certainly did not know how to create, and many immediately put forward the theory that we on Earth is far from the first advanced civilization. But, most likely, in ancient times, there was some very powerful, natural cataclysm, which destroyed this ancient civilization, and now their traces can only be found in the deep mines. Here, for example, in the same mine, they found a fossilized wheel 2,000 years old, resembling a wheel for a horse-drawn carriage. I wonder, maybe the ancient developed civilizations used dinosaurs instead of horses?
ಬಾಂಬ್ ನೆನೆದಿತ್ತೀರಾ ಆಯ್ತು ಉಸಿರು ಬಂದು ನಾಂದಿಯ ವಾ ಸಖತ್ ಮರ್ದು ಓ ಒಂದು ತಿಂತಿನಂದು ಏರ್ನ ಒಂದು ಈ ನಾಣೆ ಸೂಪರ್ನ ಪಕ್ಕ ವರಿವಾ ಕೋರಿ ಒಂದು ಆ ಮರ್ದು ಮಾರ ಎಂಚದಿತ್ತನ ಅಬ್ಬಾ ವಾಸನತೆ ಮರ್ದೆ ವಾಸನೆ ಒಂದು ಪುಗ್ಗೆನ ವಾಸನೆ ಬರನುಂಡು ನೀನು ಸುಮಾರು ತಿಂತೀನಿಯಾ ಕರಿ ತಿಂತೀನಿ ಐಕ್ಯ ಭಾಷೆ ಒಂದು ಫೈಟರ್ ಕಿನ್ನಿಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಪುರ
Leg cut off? Apparently this is from a movie called VHS.
They know that I wore that hat, so they were going to look for the hat because nobody knew what I really looked like. So I gave the guy my hat. I said, hey, man, you want this hat? You can have it. He go outside. I'm looking in the window because I know they're out there somewhere. Next thing I heard, I stepped back from the window, pulled my gun, put it to the side, in case they decide to come out and run up and see, is he dead? But they didn't. They kept on going down Clark. They took off from Clark and hit that freeway and they gone, you know. But the guy didn't die, but he got shot up. But he didn't die. And I was like, man, what the hell going on? I was like, damn, man, somebody don't like you. I don't know what the guy, man, they didn't say nothing. They just drove by and said, hey. I turned to look and he just blasted me. I said,
Nah, this guy is rotten, bro. That's crazy.
Hey guys, check this out. This is eerie. This is scary. This is one of the scariest beaches. Actually, it is the scariest ocean, guys, and beach line in all of America. Check a look at this beauty. Doesn't it look beautiful? There's not a single person out here, guys. Nobody's boating, nobody's fishing, nobody's swimming, nobody's sunbathing. You wanna know why? Guys, this is shark bite capital of the world. Do you see this coastline, guys? This coastline from Flagler Beach all the way down to Ponce Inlet and Edgewater, New Smyrna, Daytona. Guys, there's a shark attack like every other month. Literally, look it up, YouTube it, Google it, guys. Every other month there's a shark attack. People die, people get bit. It's wild, guys. I don't know what to tell you guys, but it was ranked. I watched a documentary, ranked #1 scariest beach in all of America, if not the world. Scariest coastline, guys, because of that. Guys, but look at, nobody's out here. How eerie, huh? I wouldn't swim in these waters, guys. I wouldn't fish, I wouldn't boat. I mean, tourists come here. This is like one of the most famous beaches in the world. But why? Why? I don't know, guys. All right, gotta go back.
I'm a firm believer that people were made to stay on land and not water. But could you imagine that? I think getting taken out by a shark would probably be the most terrifying.
In 2008, 9-year-old Nathan Thompson faced a nightmare no child should ever experience. Late one night in their home in Scotland, he awoke to the sounds of a violent struggle downstairs. As he crept towards the noise, his blood ran cold. His mother was on the floor, soaked in blood, as an intruder plunged a knife into her again and again. Nathan didn't hesitate. He charged at the attacker, screaming, his small fist pounding against the man's body. The intruder barely flinched before turning the blade on the boy, slashing deep into his face. Blood streamed down Nathan's cheek, pain searing through him, but he didn't stop. He clawed, kicked, did anything he could to distract the man from his mother, whose breaths were growing weaker by the second. His desperate assault bought just enough time. His mother, trembling and drenched in blood, used the last of her strength to crawl to the door and unleash a scream so chilling, it sent neighbors rushing to call the police. Sirens blared in the distance. The intruder, realizing he had no time left, fled into the night, leaving behind a scene of horror. Nathan collapsed beside his mother, gripping her hand, whispering that help was coming, that she had to stay awake. When paramedics arrived, they found the boy refusing to let go, his own face slick with blood and tears. His mother had endured 12 stab wounds, but survived. Nathan's face required stitches, but his deepest wounds were the ones that couldn't be seen. His act of sheer bravery did not go unnoticed. One of Scotland's senior law officers nominated him for a bravery award, honoring the boy who, despite overwhelming terror and pain, refused to let his mother die without a fight. Nathan Thompson, just 9 years old, became a symbol of courage, a child who stood between a murderer and the woman who gave him life.
First test. Can chimpanzees count from 1 to 9 in the right order in return for a peanut or other tasty reward? Yes, they can. Now, if you just flash the 9 numerals for a moment, then cover them, can a chimpanzee remember where each numeral was and still get the order they were in right? Yes, for another tasty treat. This chimp got this wrong once, but thought nothing of it and, undaunted, went right back to getting them all correct. Now, can another primate species, the adult Homo sapien, do the same? Well, okay. And again? 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 One more try? Well, okay. But actually, chimpanzees did much better than humans in this flash and remember test, leaving the Japanese human researchers scratching their heads. One possible theory, chimpanzees care more than humans about peanuts.
Yeah, a lot of animals are smarter than we realize. Like, I don't know if it's muscle memory to him because he's like knowing he's getting a treat, but I was having a hard time keeping up with that.
So a flat earther sent me this video yesterday as an explanation for the moon's phases. And I want you to see if you notice what I notice when they demonstrate. First, the moon, I guess, is a shallow bowl. Okay, its surface has got see-through parts as well. Okay, putting in the blue liquid. Now look, see if you notice what I notice. Okay, it goes in. All right, so the crescents are shown. Anybody else notice anything about the phases of the moon here? All right, and he's going to do it again with a darker liquid for nighttime moon. See if you can notice anything. All right, there's the daytime phases. Here's the nighttime phases of the moon. It becomes pretty obvious.
So what is this implying, that there's water in space, or is like space water? I've like heard about it, but I don't know. But seeing this was a pretty good example.
We need to talk about what we don't know about the moon. We know it controls the tides. The tides circulate the water on the planet. It keeps the water from going stagnant, regulates the temperature on the planet, and locks Earth in a tilt so we have seasons. It's tidally locked, meaning we only see one side of it because it spins at the same exact speed as the Earth does. It also fits perfectly over the sun from the perspective of Earth. It's really weird because we only see moons of our size around the gas giants. Mars has these little asteroid dudes. The gravity for the gas giants makes sense to capture a moon in orbit. This was a theory of the moon for a long time until we hit the gravity problem. Then we had the giant impact hypothesis. This suggested another planet or big asteroid hit the Earth and made the moon. But if that was the case, when they hit, they would mix, creating the same density and composition, which is not true. A newer hypothesis suggests a nuclear explosion happened in the Earth and ejected the moon out. The evidence from the moon shows it got baked at some point in its history at 4,000 to 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This would have to be after that, and we'd have to see it on the Earth as well, and we don't. There are shadows on the moon that look like towers, and these towers would have to be taller than any skyscraper on the planet due to how far their shadows are cast on the moon. To figure out what the moon was made of, NASA left seismometers on the moon and dropped a lunar module onto the surface to create an artificial earthquake. The moon rang like a bell for 3 hours. When they got the data back, they found a layer of unknown material deep in the crust that they could not identify. Which makes sense, because when you look at the craters on the moon, no matter how big the crater is, they all go down to about the same depth. You don't see that on Earth. It is a perfect sphere, which is great for pictures. But think about it. To make a perfect sphere, the mass would have to be distributed equally throughout the whole thing. It's space. If it was, it would spin freely like that. But it doesn't. It's locked on one side on an axis. If it was heavier on one side, it wouldn't be round in space. So what's stabilizing it? From the spiritual perspective, the only element on the moon is Earth, represented by a cube. The sum of the angles in the cube is 2160, which is the diameter, which is also one age in the zodiac. The moon is the rabbit hole.
Y'all ever wondered what happens to celebrities that decide not to sell their soul?
They are the 1, 2, 3 hit wonders. That's what happens to celebrities when they don't sell their soul. They become the 1, 2, 3 hit wonders. When you get into entertainment, Hollywood entertainment, I definitely believe there's some sort of energy exchange. I've witnessed people glow up, and there's a point during their glow up, as soon as they get signed, they change. Their energy shifts. And this is why it's so important when you're trying to blow up that you really establish self-identification, self-realization, shadow work. Like, you know who you are to the soul, to the core of your being. Because the further you go, the more they try to pull you from that, and you become a puppet for them. You're money to them. You're nothing. So know who you are before you blow up.
I know there's probably thousands or millions of one-hit wonders out there, but the one that instantly came to my mind was that one guy who's saying, somebody that I used to know.
Are you guys gonna gaslight God if you die and it turns out that he exists?
So you're seriously just not gonna forgive me? I'm just saying, like, it's really not my fault that it's not my fault that I didn't believe in you, you know? I'm serious. Look at the material. Look at the material. Let's look at Earth. And I won't even go down memory lane, okay? We won't talk about slavery, the Holocaust, or any other major catastrophic event in human history where you just stood there and did nothing. Let's look at Earth right now. Oh, look, there's little Timmy. What is little Timmy doing? He's praying. Aw, what is he praying about? Bone cancer? He's praying to you about his bone cancer? He's 6. Why does he have bone cancer? Like, you don't see how that's, like, messed up and unnecessary? Like, okay, maybe we need to go back to the drawing board. I can help you, you know, because, like, I don't think you can handle this job. You really can't. Like, you've messed up. And, like, I'm not trying to overstep or anything, but, like, there are millions of people like me that don't believe in you, so clearly you're doing something wrong. Maybe it's time you pass the torch to someone else. What's Gabriel doing? Also, who all you got in there? Like, I really want to know. Human beings, like, you know, we see they're not great to each other. In fact, they haven't been great to each other for a long time. So, like, who did you allow in there? I'm very skeptical of the guest list. Can I see it? Because, like, if there are more than, like, 8 people in there, I don't know if you're the best judge of character. Like, should you really be judging me?
Universe 25 might be the scariest experiment of all time. In the 1960s, a lot of people became concerned about what would happen if the global population exceeded global resources, something that we still struggle with today. But one guy, John B. Calhoun, had the opposite concern and wanted to know what would happen to a society with too much abundance. So he put it to the test. He took 4 breeding pairs of mice and put them in an enclosure with enough space and enough food for 5,000 mice. His question was, what happens to mice when they don't have to worry about food, temperature, space, shelter, or disease, and essentially live in a mice utopia? And the answer was, they got busy reproducing. After 145 days, the population skyrocketed from 8 to 620. With nothing really to do, the mice started to separate themselves into different social groups, and the mice that couldn't find a role in a group withdrew themselves and started to pile in the middle. The groups then started to turn on and eat each other. Mothers simply forgot about or abandoned their young. Most mice eventually gave up mating altogether. With the low birth rate, high infant mortality, and even higher violence, the entire colony went extinct shortly after. The population peaked at 2,200 in an enclosure with enough space and enough food for 5,000.
What about entertainment? Like, do they have any entertainment, anything to do other than just stand around? But if you really think about it, some of those mice were born and all they knew was like cannibalism and violence, and they died with that just being their life, while also being a test experiment. Like,
so on April 5th, which is less than 8 days away, 2 things finna happen. 1, TikTok is supposed to be banned. 2nd, they supposed to be doing that march. For all my black people out there, sit your punk ass down. And I'm just being honest, this is not the time to take your ass out there and go march with these people. This is not our fight. Our ancestors have already done this march. We not included in this shit this time. We did not vote this man into office. You already know if you take your ass out there, they're gonna put martial law into effect, which is gonna give them what they want. They've been waiting for us to come out and protest. Sit your punk ass down. Do not fall for the trap that's been placed before you. Do not take your ass outside on April 5th and indulge in any of those activities. Sit your punk ass down.
I feel like people protest about a lot of things, but it's like none of us really protest about anything that genuinely matters. Like, I'm not saying none of these things matter, but like, what about gas prices, the cost of food, the cost of living, you know, just any...
I love crazy facts. Do you? Here's one. 11 plus 2 equals 13. Of course. 12 plus 1 equals 13. The 13 letters that spell 11 plus 2, when rearranged, will also spell 12 plus 1. That is the craziest fact I know as a professional astrophysicist.
Did he say that was the craziest fact he knew? I feel like he's lying. Out of everything Neil knows, that was the craziest fact.
Something ain't right.
Look at this phone. Where is she?
She is missing in this video.
And as he moves his camera, the camera's not moving. Wouldn't there be a move on the video? Where's the sign? Where's the American flag?
Something you long believed to be true but realized wasn't.
Well, as one of the main opponents of the Illuminati, I always wanted to know what information they had that we didn't. And I found out, I was always wondering how our God could have been so thrown off by a story of a tree and fruit. And then I found out that that's not the case at all. Adam was God's son, which means Eve was his daughter. And if they have sex, that ruins everything. And that's what happened. And that's a piece right there.
Excellent observation.
Thank you.
Secret talent.
Clairvoyant.
You're clairvoyant?
Yes, sir.
Psychic?
Yes, sir.
Ooh. Person you'd trade places with for a day.
That I would trade places with for a day? No one.
Let me tell y'all a true story. Be so boom. Watch this video to the end. Taylor Swift, I got you. You thought I wouldn't find out? This video I'm about to show you is insane. TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's go.
The Glamour Gal Collection. Party place, fancy fireworks, the show place collectively.
This is crazy.
Sold separately. You can send in proofs of purchase from any 3 Glamour Gals dolls. Jessie, Danny, Bonnie, or Shara in any of 3 outfits.
No way.
Jessie in fancy formal free. Details on the specially marked packages. Offer expires on March 1st, 1982. Glamour Gals Collection. Jessie and Beautiful Bride. Other dolls and plays.
This is crazy.
New from
Stop playing with me, son. What the Ah! Oh, guys, my head. Ow. This is crazy, guys. This commercial came out in 1981. How is this even possible? I just showed you. Taylor Swift is a TT. Whether you want to believe it or not, the proof is there. This is what I'm telling you guys. Nothing is real in the Matrix. Do you understand now? Do you get it? Stop playing with me, son. TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. I can't take this anymore. CLs, TTs, SSs, Rs, SWs, all of these letters, I'm starting to learn the alphabet all over again, guys. Stop playing with me, son. Yo, this gotta stop, guys. I got a headache. I gotta go. But I tell you one thing. If I ever see anybody in the streets and I tell them about this video and they don't believe me when I just show them proof, there's only one thing left for me to do.
Same time, Harry Styles. Okay, cover of Vogue, great accomplishment. Why do they want him in a dress? Why couldn't he? I've seen him wear a suit. He looks lovely in a suit. Why is Lil Nas X making a Satan shoe and straddling? Who is picking these people and putting them in the most public and applauding them and saying, this is great, this is great, this is great? That is a decision that is being made with purpose, okay? By people that have nefarious intentions. I view the people like Cardi B, Harry Styles, Lil Nas X, those are pawns in a game that is much bigger and much more twisted than they could possibly understand.
Dude, America is so wild, bro. They want a whole society where every man is just so feminine and dresses literally like a woman. Like, and you know what's crazy is there's a whole rabbit hole that goes even further, but I can't even talk about it or get into it on YouTube, let alone show the clips.
That's why cancer cures are suppressed. Is because they fully intend to kill a minimum of 2 billion people by the year 2000. AIDS is an invention of man. It is not a natural disease, and it has been implemented and placed into the population as a population control. And when they did it, they had the cure before they did it. And when they deem that enough people have died or been killed, they will say, we have a cure for AIDS. And everybody will be called to report to some place to get an inoculation, which is going to do two things. One, it's going to stop AIDS in its tracks, and number two, it's going to implant a device which will be able to be used to track each individual person and maybe even to control those people.
I wouldn't doubt it, man. Big Pharma and just every other big industry is just so corrupt and just so against us that I really wouldn't put anything past them. Remember, they're not working with us, they're working against us. They profit off of us. The more you get sick, the more they get paid. So, I mean, it'd be smart for them to keep us sick because then we just keep coming back.
That petrify very quickly. We've got some examples here on the table of things that petrify very quickly. I'll show you those in a second. Here's a picture of a petrified water wheel. Here's petrified firewood. It was chopped on before it got petrified. You can go to Southern Forest World Museum in Georgia, Waycross, Georgia. There's a mummified dog stuck inside a tree. Some people say it's petrified. I don't know if it's mummified. I've not been there yet. But anyway, how can a dog get mummified just in probably a few years? Chased a coon up the tree, got stuck. They named it Stucky, of course. That's the name for the dog. They had a contest to name it, and so they called it Stucky. They cut the tree down for firewood. There's a dog inside. Here's a petrified cowboy boot with the cowboy's legs still in it. The boot was made in the 1950s. Got his leg shot off or torn off or who knows what, but there's his leg petrified. Here's a petrified fish giving birth. Petrified hammer was found from a Marine barracks from World War II. Petrified hammer. Petrified hat found in New Zealand. Here's a kid, the kid sent me this right here on the table. A petrified crayon found in Arizona. I mean, the crayon is turned to stone. We have right here a petrified pickle. It's in our museum. Well, it's here tonight, but a guy sent me this and the jar with it. The jar still in our museum. He said, well, I found this old house in Montana. The roof was gone. The house been empty at least 30 years. But we were digging around through what's left of this house and found the pantry. And there were pickle jars in there, but the lid to one of the jars rusted, and the pickle inside turned to stone. Would you like it for your museum? I said, well, yeah, of course. One kid wrote me a letter. Here's the letter right here. He said, Brother Hovind, I was 8 years old doing a science experiment. I put a bunch of acorns in a bucket of water to see if they would sprout. And I forgot about them. A year later, my mom saw the bucket on the back porch. She said, get rid of that bucket and all that junk out there. He said, the acorns had turned to stone in 1 year. I have right here a baggie of petrified acorns. It doesn't take long, folks. Don't let them tell you it takes millions of years for things to petrify. It's not true. A guy sent me a picture of a petrified pin cushion. The The pin cushion, you can see the pins had rusted off, except where you can see this rust marks where the pins had been stuck in there. Petrified pin cushion. They dug up a grave in Tennessee several years ago. They found the body of the person inside the grave had petrified, turned to stone. The doctor died, and they buried him. 14 years later, his wife died. This is back in 1881. They dug a hole to bury Grandma, and water went into the hole. And they thought, oh, we don't want to bury Grandma in the water, so they buried her someplace else. Then the kids got worried about Grandpa in that moving water. It hit an underground spring, apparently. So they dug up Grandpa. He'd been in the ground 14 years, and the article says the occupant of the coffin had been turned to stone, presumably as a result of the continual flow of water. It said the arms had rotted off, but the rest of the body had turned to stone, petrified. A guy found a petrified man in Montana. He took it 5'8". The guy carried it around as a museum curiosity for years in carnivals and fairs and stuff. Petrified body of a man found on the beach in Montana, at a beach of a river. In Sao Paulo, Brazil, a lady went into the hospital. She said, my side's been hurting. The lady was 62 years old. They x-rayed her and found a petrified fetus, a baby, inside. She'd been pregnant. The baby almost came to term and died, apparently, and turned to stone inside her body. 62-year-old lady with a petrified baby inside. Here's the article. You can read it for yourself. I met a guy in Maryland who said he worked at a hospital, Brian Lackey, who lives in Washington, but there's his phone number. He was in Maryland. He said they brought a lady in there and took out a petrified fetus out of her body. The baby's in a museum now, or in a medical hospital up there. Petrified fetus. Here's petrified sacks of flour found in Arkansas. A flour mill flooded. The flour turned to stone. The sacks of flour were buried in water and mud and turned to rock. So the Bible says the high hills were covered. The earth was totally covered by a flood. 15 cubits, that's about 22 feet, over the mountains. So the skeptics say, where'd all the water go? Oh, it's still here. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 8, the water's assuaged. That means to drop down, to sink down. If we filled this room 4 feet deep in water, and then all of a sudden the floor caved in over here and dropped down 10 feet, that's going to suck all the water from there into the hole. Well, during the flood, you'd get this sinking process as the ocean floors would drop out and the water would rush into those holes. The Bible says the water stood above the mountains. So I think during the first few months of the flood, the animals sorted out and fossils were forming. During the last part of the flood, the plates of the earth were still shifting.
This makes me really question how old are these petrified trees and these petrified so-called mountains that look like giants?
We take the children of our enemy, which is the white race, and we bring them to the basements in the synagogues where we drain the blood and watch them die there. It's very similar to how we do the sacrifices that we do with the kosher butchering, and so we do that, and then we mix it with the Passover bread, and so we eat the blood of our enemies. And the bodies, we're not cannibals, so what we do is we take those, because we can make some shekels, and we give them to the slaughterhouses, and those are pounds and pounds and pounds of meat that we grind up in the sausage and the hamburger, and that's why we made those the most popular things, sausage for breakfast and hamburger for lunch. And so all the goyim out here are really eating their children. And even when we say this outright and tell you people, you don't believe it.
Yeah, honestly, I've been questioning the food that we eat from these fast food places and really just anywhere in general for a long time, and these videos are really starting to prove my theory correct. Alright guys, I'm gonna go and end this video right here. If you guys did enjoy this video, let me know by leaving a thumbs up and or subscribing if you guys are new. That last clip was pretty wild, man. Let me know what you guys think about that, because really, is there enough animals on this planet to feed all of us? But anyways, as always, I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.